So now we are on to part 2 where we left off from part 1. Before you start with part 2, please be very aware that you are understanding the method of this pre-scene analysis. This is a new method. It's just not going through everything one by one. It's going through everything, understanding the company, making a list of E, P and F relatable topics, and most importantly understanding your company, your role, because you are the finance officer over here. So be very comfortable with the industry analysis part 1. Then let's start with part 2 now. We are exploring the future trends that are poised to redefine the landscape of bread production now. Firstly, sustainable and eco-friendly practices. We already know this from our industry analysis. Now, sustainability is a key driver of innovation in the bread industry. Bakeries are adopting eco-friendly practices to minimize their environmental footprint. This includes sourcing ingredients from sustainable farms, reducing energy consumption through energy efficient ovens, and implementing waste management systems to recycle or repurpose byproducts. So, what is Halfpenny doing to be sustainable, to be eco-friendly? That we need to be aware of, because this is a major differentiator in our business industry. The push towards sustainable packaging such as biodegradable or recyclable materials is also gaining momentum. From our E1 syllabus, we straightforward pick up corporate social responsibility over here, because what we are doing for the environment, for our external stakeholders, is also an important focus. So if we focus on sustainable sourcing, if we focus on this new innovation in production, if we focus on sustainable packaging, our CSR will be high, which will further attract customers to our brand. Health and wellness trends are also very important. So consumer demand for healthier bread options is shaping production practices. The rise of low carb, high protein and gluten-free diets has led to the development of new formulations that cater to these preferences. Bakers are experimenting with alternative flavors made from almond, chickpeas and other grains to create nutritious and diverse products. So first trend is sustainability. Second trend is health and wellness. Focus on the nutrients within a particular product, making your bread as nutritious as possible, healthy as possible. Fortification of bread with vitamins, minerals and probiotics is also becoming popular. So this thought is giving me intangible asset thought rather, because we could spend a certain amount researching and developing new formulations, which if becomes a successful product, it can be capitalized if the recognition criteria for IAS 38 is met. IAS 38 dealt with in detail in your management level also, but because it's kind of relevant over here in terms of research development, I thought I would just pick it up. Also, activity-based costing coming to my mind over here, because the fortification process and complexity and cost to production. ABC helps allocate overheads to fortified product lines more accurately, providing better insight, because this is one extra step, one extra activity after production. So if we have a proactive costing system like activity based costing, we will be able to cost our products in a better way. We don't know the costing system of Halfpenny yet, but just the use of activity based costing has been already pointed out to you twice, and it's a very favorite exam question also. There is a new topic, coefficient of variation, which I am discussing over here. So when introducing new product lines, there is uncertainty in sales volumes and sales demand. It's a forecasting technique. So the coefficient of variation here helps measure sales variability compared to traditional products. So if a new product is launched compared to traditional product, you try to forecast how much of this new product which you will need. So demand planning, supply planning can be helpful with the help of coefficient of variation. Also, coming to expected values and decision trees. We have already dealt with decision trees once. It can be used whenever there is a new development, a new direction that you are trying to take. Also giving rise to a very important topic of KPIs, P1. Again, all of this is P1. Halfpenny should track KPIs specific to fortified products, such as nutrient consistency per loaf, let's say, shelf life of probiotic products. These KPIs ensure that the product quality and compliance, regulatory compliances are met. So what I'm trying to tell you, if something new is being done, Halfpenny will have to have new costing techniques, new forecasting techniques, new KPIs to supplement this trend. And because all of these trends have been given and in the pre-scene very clearly mentioned that our products are, this market is on decline in terms of the traditional bread, there is bound to be scenarios where new things, new approaches are being made by Halfpenny, and I'm giving you great ideas on all the stuff that you can include. Third, artisanal and specialty breads is the next, let's say, big thing in the market. Despite the rise of automation, there is growing consumer appetite for artisanal and specialty breads. These products, often characterized by traditional production techniques, unique flavors, and high quality ingredients, appeal to consumers seeking authenticity and culinary experience. Small bakery, the feel is more local, feel is more high quality. Bakers are balancing automation with craftsmanship to produce breads which offer the best of both worlds: efficient production and personal touch. This is bringing me to some important discussions. If you look at the artisanal bakery, then we are thinking of small incremental improvements, consistent quality. Once you picture an artisanal bakery, you will picture more and more clarity in terms of just more and more clarity in terms of the types of the quality that that particular establishment is giving you. Now let's say Halfpenny gets into or opens up a shop that focuses on artisanal bread. In this case, we will have to consider the relevant costs to assess whether to accept orders. Or let's say in your current production facility, you get a big order for a specific artisanal bread for upscale retailers. I'm giving you a situation. You might be asked to consider the relevant costs. So relevant costing is coming into the picture over here, which has been discussed on your screen. Same way, if I look at F1, very important that we look at IS7, cash flow statements. Crafting small batches, artisanal products can slow your inventory turnover, which can affect your cash flow. And how to read a cash flow statement, you should know because it's there in your F1 syllabus. Again, events after the reporting period can be talked about over here, because if we launch a new artisanal range after the reporting period, is it an adjusting event, non-adjusting event? Again, same topic, different situation. So a lot being learnt from these new market trends. The next trend is personalization and customization. So the trend towards personalization is also making its way into bread production. Advanced production techniques and digital ordering systems enable bakeries to offer customized bread options. This digital ordering is helping customers select ingredients, specify dietary restrictions, and even design their own bread shapes and sizes. This is leading to next level customer satisfaction and loyalty. So because we are speaking about digital data over here, your E1 syllabus relating to digital, all the digital aspects. In this case, how digital ordering systems exemplify the strategic use of information systems to enable mass customization need to be considered. So what are we doing with data? Is Halfpenny looking to use data? How are we using data? Data analytics, big data, data mining comes into the picture over here, because this is the major trend in the market. Tomorrow they can say Halfpenny is doing the same. Next, Next trend is plant-based ingredients. The plant-based movement is influencing bread production as well. The use of plant-based ingredients such as plant, proteins, and daily alternatives is expanding. These innovations cater to the growing number of vegetarians and vegans while also contributing to sustainability goals. So Halfpenny needs to adapt its strategic planning to anticipate trends, forecast trends. Again, for forecasting, you have sensitivity analysis, rolling budgets, which you can look at because ever changing trends are in the market. Last trend is advanced baking techniques. Innovative baking techniques are pushing the boundaries of traditional bread production. High pressure processing, for instance, extends the shelf life without need of preservatives. The fermentation process is also being refined to enhance the flavor and the nutritional value. Cold plasma technology is being explored for its potential to improve the safety and quality of bread products by reducing microbial load. So innovation is at the forefront of this market, may it be in production, packaging, ingredients, baking itself is at the center of this market. So your cost volume profit analysis is going to be a very important consideration over here. And the conclusion of this article states that as automation and smart technologies become more integrated, the industry will see significant improvements in efficiency and product quality. Concurrently, the push for sustainability, health conscious products, and customization will drive innovation in ingredients and production methods. For bakers and bread producers, staying ahead of these trends will be crucial to thriving in an increasingly competitive and dynamic market. Now, one very important thing to take away from here is, yes, we understood the pre-scene. Yes, we are understanding E1, P1 and F1 relevances. But third, when you write mock questions, when you are taking this exam, I want you to keep these trends at the center of your discussion whenever you are suggesting anything in answers. So whenever you're speaking about anything in this market new that Halfpenny is doing, you can say that, okay, this is true because sustainability and eco-friendly is the trend of this market. Health and wellness is the trend of this market. Third, artisanal and specialty breads are the trend of this market. Personalization and customization is the trend of this market. Plant-based ingredients is the trend of this market. And advanced baking techniques are the trend. I want you to remember these 6 major trends which exist in this market, and I want you to use them. I want you to make sure that you use them when you write your answers. That was the major point of this detailed discussion. One thing I want to mention over here is benchmarking will be an important tool for Halfpenny, because Halfpenny can benchmark its automation, sustainability, customization practices with industry leaders. Okay, this company is doing this. Why am I not able to do that? So you can identify gaps and improvements. So benchmarking becomes an important discussion on here. Now we are looking at Halfpenny's website. Next, an extract from the website which gives details about our story as a business. So let's say 1891 business started, first bakery store was open selling cakes, pies and bread. 1916, a purpose-built bakery now serves 10 bakery stores of ours. Centralized production was established. 48 to 52, the company focuses on the production of bread and all bakery stores are closed. So shift to focus strategy. 1952, the famous Halfpenny sliced white and wholemeal packaged loaves are born. Product lifecycle management. A new product was introduced in 1952. First the product will be in the growth, then the maturity, then the decline. Right now it's in the maturity phase. We know that. 80 to 85, demand for packaged sliced bread skyrockets and our white loaf is number 1 in Keeland. We become number 1 market leaders. 85, our new purpose-built production facility starts to operate. So new facility, IAS 16, we already discussed this. 1999, we improve our SAP and add packaged rolls and a multi-seed loaf to our range. Diversification, again, health oriented because you're going to multi-seed. 2011, Halfpenny is rebranded to what you see today. Rebranding as part of promotion and positioning. Reinforcing your brand identity, 7 P's from E1. 2018, the rustic loaf is added to the range and we are voted the best packaged whole meal loaf for the 3rd year in the running. So rustic loaf, new product is added and we become the best packaged whole meal loaf for the 3rd year in the running. So throughout Halfpenny's existence, you can see new strategies, new innovations being brought about, and this will continue, let me tell you that. Next, we are going to our mission. On the website itself, our mission has been stated. So what is a mission statement? A mission statement is something that the company exists for. The reason for existence is a mission statement. Now our mission is to be the number 1 choice for packaged sliced bread and packaged bread rolls in Keeland. This is my mission. This is what drives the objectives. This is what drives my corporate culture. Please remember, our focus is on quality, sustainability and customer satisfaction because these are again the major trends of this market, and if we don't focus on the trends, we cannot meet our mission. Again, mission is something that you can have at the forefront of your answers, showcasing the examiner that you've studied the pre-scene, you've gone through the pre-scene. So to achieve this, we aim to give you the best tasting bread in a range of flavors, use the highest quality of flour ingredients, source ingredients from sustainable suppliers, and be carbon neutral by 2040. So very straightforward that our CSR is proven over here because by 2040 we want to be carbon neutral. So any strategies that our company decides to implement will have to be complementing this carbon neutral goal. You can't say tomorrow let's set up a factory which is emitting lots of harmful gases. That's not true to your mission. So anything that you suggest has to be true to your mission, has to be true to the company's culture. So CSR is within our culture, customer focus within our culture, environmental focus within our culture. And for this, we should have specific KPIs like product quality scores, customer satisfaction, percentage of sustainable suppliers, carbon footprint reduction milestones. KPIs should be very much related to our mission so that we achieve our mission, we stay true to our culture, stay true to our mission. This is what I want to point out over here through this discussion. Then there is a segment on our products. So we start speaking about our products. We spoke about our mission. The first product is bread loaves. All of our bread loaves are a standard 800 grams and are pre-sliced as either regular or thick cut. So bread loaves, different, regular or thick, but 800 grams. Packaged in waxed paper to seal in freshness and softness. Perfect for sandwiches or toasting. That's what we've written on our website. Very important over here that standard costing and variance analysis coming into the picture because the standard loaf size is 800 grams. Enabling standard costing, which majority businesses use, and deeper into the pre-scene, we will see the same mentioned for Halfpenny as well because they are standard prices, standard production. So bread loaves is available in 2 cuts, regular or thick. Then we have white, our classic white loaf. using white flour made from wheat grain that has been refined and processed to remove the bran and germ. So the classic white loaf, as we know, rather all of the bread loaves that we know sit at the maturity stage in the market. They target the traditional customers and it's going to be typically high volume sale in the maturity phase. Then there is wholemeal. So within the bread loaves, we're speaking about white, we're speaking about wholemeal. So now our most popular, the classic wholemeal loaf. We know 3 years in a row, it's been the most popular. Using wholemeal flour made from whole wheat grain, retains most of the bran, germ and endosperm from the wheat. A loaf packed full of fiber, vitamins, minerals and antioxidants. So focusing on the health conscious customers. This product is going to be in its growth, late growth or maturity stage. This will be a differentiation strategy because it's something new, something different that we are doing. And that is why 3 years in a row we are number 1. Now multi-seed, gaining in popularity. Our multi-seed loaf using wholemeal flour with added seeds and grains for additional texture, flavor, fiber, healthy fats, vitamins, minerals. Further diversification, further new activities made on the whole wheat with the wholemeal flour. You have new activities like adding vitamins, adding minerals. So further activity based costing can be used for these new innovative products that we are coming up with. Plus this is a new diversification. Then we have the rustic loaf. Our most recent addition to the range, the rustic seeded bloomer loaf. Using coarse grain whole wheat flour with added seeds and grains, baked as a bloomer loaf. So this is artisanal style production. Often requires batch costing due to small production. Again, you're not going to make all products in huge quantities. For products which are traditional in their maturity phase, you're making huge quantities, standard costing I can understand. But for products which are growing, which you are making only in small batches, small production runs, activity based costing could make more sense. So that shift is coming, is an exam question in the in the distance, and I'm giving you the ideas already. Next category is bread rolls. So white, wholemeal, multi-seed and rustic available in packs of 6 bread rolls. Overall weight per pack is 400 grams. So pretty much in bread rolls we have also 4 categories: white, wholemeal, multi-seed, rustic. In the bread loaves also we have 4 categories. So pretty much 8 products is what we are looking at. So introducing bread rolls will be a new product situation that has come up that will need planning. So key takeaways, if we look at our bread range, there is a product variety. Costing methods should vary depending on complexity and scale. Like I said, large production, standard costing. Small batches, activity based costing could be the first step. And from financial reporting, you need to speak about inventory valuation, better segmentation, better integrated reporting, because the sustainability is coming up over here. So if I look at my products, we have a diverse product range and new innovations in terms of reporting, in terms of costing are on the horizon. Now one by one we are starting to speak about the directors of our company. Who are the people who run my business? Who are the people who are making the day-to-day decisions in my business? Again, 3 reasons why we are going through director competencies in detail. First, because they make the decisions, we got to know them to understand our company. Second, it will help us relate to E1, P1, F1 topics like we have been doing. And third, most important again, you can use director names within our mock questions in your final exam to make your answer more, let's say, pre-scene oriented, to showcase your business skills. For example, they say that Trey has worked in the production side of the business. So anything related to production, if you are discussing, you can say, let's take the opinion of Trey because he is the expert over here. Just by including that one line, the examiner again feels that you have spent time on the pre-scene. You know the pre-scene. You know our company. And the examiner surely gives you credit for the same. So it's very important that you focus on director names and use them when the time comes. Using them is key. If you don't use the information I'm giving you in the pre-scene within your mock writing, within your final exam, it's going to be of little use. So first, we have Managing Director Trey Halfpenny. Trey is 49, is a direct descendant of Martha and Bert, became Managing Director in 2010, running the company since 15 years now. He has worked in the production side of the business since he was 18, and over the past 10 years has driven modernization of the production facility. So he has worked for the business since a very long time. Since he was 18, he has been within the business, and since last 10 years he has driven modernization of the production facility. So you can use his name any production related issues. Because we are speaking of modernization, topics of cash flow, topics of property, plant and equipment, topics of revaluation, IFRS 5 come into the picture over here. Next, Sales and Marketing Director Rosa Gimbel. Now Rosa, 47, is the sister of Trey Halfpenny. Rosa has a degree in marketing and worked for the marketing agency before joining family business in 2006. She has been instrumental in creating the current Halfpenny branding. So sales director has created the Halfpenny branding. Anything related to marketing, sales, you can suggest Rosa's name because she's the expert on it. So she is responsible for the marketing process. So how she manages the marketing mix, the 4 P's extended to the 7 P's in your E1 syllabus, is important. Product, price, place, promotion. What is anything related to these 4 categories can be asked to Rosa because she is the expert. And because we are speaking about product, price, place, promotion, pricing becomes very important and something that she will also have knowledge of. So price related issues, marketing related issues, sales related issues can go through Rosa. Then we have Product Development Director, which we know specifically focuses on new product development. Harry has worked in product development at one of our main competitors. So we have that advantage because now he's working with us. So he's a talented baker and is keen to increase the range of products. So throughout your pre-scene, they said new things coming for the company, new products coming for the company. This is going to be at the center of mock questions and in the final exam as well. So if new products are coming, new costing techniques will be needed. New techniques to understand your production, throughput accounting might be needed. Research and development costs, inventory valuation, asset capitalization, all of this will be a constant occurrence for our company because new innovations are being made, considered. Next, we have production director. So Jack has worked in the production facility since he was 16. He has experience. He became director and is working closely with Trey Halfpenny to modernize the production process. Are we using total quality management, just in time, Kaizen? These are new modern manufacturing techniques. Is Halfpenny using any of these techniques? If not, these will be something which you should have knowledge of and you should be able to suggest. Again, because you're modernizing production processes, you might consider digital costing systems, because everything is now happening on computers. So costing, digital costing could be considered from your P1 syllabus. Next, we have distribution director Syed Hussain. So Syed has been in the post for 15 years, having previously worked for a global logistics company. We know that everything is produced at our purpose-built factory, and then it goes out to our supermarket partners. So Syed has worked to make the distribution process more sustainable by replacing diesel vehicles with electric vehicles, which is very true to our mission of becoming carbon neutral by 2040. So his distribution strategies affect the supply chain efficiency through better optimization. So KPIs to measure his role should be very, very specific to distribution. And also F1 is coming into the picture over here, because diesel vehicles are going to be sold, new vehicles are going to be bought. This will affect your working capital. So IS 16 as well as working capital, continuous discussion on these two is happening. Next, finance director Lottie Phipps worked her way up through the company. She has built good relationships with finance providers and believes that there is scope for the company to grow through expansion into new markets. Very clear. We have finance providers support. Plus, everybody in the company is modernizing things and looking at expansion. So that's going to be the next thing coming up for the business. Next, we have Human Resources Director Samira Kuma. So Samira is a recent addition to the board, worked at a food manufacturing company. Samira is a firm believer that incentivized workforce is a more productive workforce and has just introduced a new bonus scheme. So your HR planning, HR recruitment, performance management, employee motivation. So topics like your HR cycle, selection method, testing method, training method, your rewards become very important, because Samira has just brought a new bonus scheme. Benjamin Juma is the IT director. Showcases our commitment to IT, because IT is now a new department. IT fell under the remit of the finance director. Now it's become a new department, which means data is going to play an increasingly important role because of all of this new modernizations which are happening in the business. So Benjamin has experience in manufacturing technology and is keen to implement more of this in the production process. So he oversees IT infrastructure, data management, cybersecurity, big data analytics is going to be important, because all of this ties into digital costing. Very important that digital costing as well as the use of data is considered, because we have board representation for IT. Showcases our commitment to IT in the near future. So now we are on to management teams discussion. After the directors have been discussed, we need to discuss the management teams. So first, they have told us that there is a finance team which is led by our director Lottie Phipps, under which there is Tom Greger, who is the finance senior manager, under which there is Evita Gomez, who is the finance manager. Now these finance managers are supported by 6 finance officers. You are one of them, and there are assistants under this as well. So finance manager, finance officer, and assistants. Now from this, it is very, very clear that there is a functional structure currently in place. Halfpenny uses a traditional hierarchy, which is suitable for small companies, local companies, where there is one person at the top taking the decision. There are different managers under that one person, and that under those managers also a functional hierarchy exists, like you can see on your screen. So over here there is a wider span of control, because Evita is pretty much responsible for the 6 finance officers and the 8 finance assistants. So Evita has a The finance manager has a wide span of control, and she'll be an important role player in terms of the motivation, in terms of the engagement for these people under her. So what we see over here is there is a clear functional structure. After that, sales and marketing department breakdown has been given to you. Again, the same. There is Rosa at the top. Under her, Pia looks at sales, Terry looks at marketing. Both report to Rosa, and Rosa makes the final call. Under Pia, there is Lu Chen, who looks at the large retailers, and Raj, who looks at the small retailers. Again, Pia is responsible for Lu and Raj. Overall responsibility for this department lies with Rosa. So again, functional structure, Lu Chen and Raj manage the place element of the marketing mix. Very important, something that you need to understand over here, because product, price, place, promotion are the major decisions for any company. Place where we sell is managed by Lou and Raj, so they're going to be important, and eventually they report to Rosa, so Rosa is going to be important. But a very straightforward functional structure can be seen here. Next, same for production. Jack at the top. Under Jack there is Roger, there is Val, and there is Tarek. All three report to Jack, and production decisions are taken by Jack. Now the following managers report directly to Roger Smith. So mixing and kneading manager reports to Roger. Shaping and proving reports to Roger. Baking reports to Roger. Cooling reports to Roger. Packaging reports to Roger. So what we can see over here again is a wider span of control for Roger, who is the production senior manager. Everything related to production, every single department related to production reports to Roger. Roger then reports to Jack. So Roger also has a wide span of control. It will be very important for Roger to be setting the right KPIs for these departments. Be very clear. So for mixing, it can be ingredient accuracy, for example. For shaping, it can be dough consistency. For baking, it can be batch quality. So try to think of different KPIs which Roger can set for each of these departments, because this is going to be an important piece of information deeper into the mock questions as well, and I believe an exam question also can come up on this. Again, this is a functional structure, very clear in terms of the span of control, but these KPIs is what I wanted to get clear over here, because all these are reporting to Roger. Next, other information about company operations. So first we are talking of sales channels. Halfpenny sells all of its products business to business. So all of our dealing is business to business. We do not have any sale direct to customers, which was our initial starting strategy. Let's put it that way. Because earlier we had our own stores, right? Then we became only production. So right now you are a business to business company. There can be a situation where you open up new artisanal bakeries with a different brand name associated to Halfpenny as a diversification strategy, but just something coming to my mind. Information about all of Halfpenny's products, such as ingredients and nutritional qualities, is available to view on the company's website. So we have a website on which people can log in and they can see the ingredients, nutritional quality of all of our products. However, consumers cannot order from the website but can purchase from a range of retailers. So we have relationships with these retailers where exclusively people can only buy from there. They cannot buy from our website. Why? I think this is an opportunity. I think this is a situation that we can capitalize on. We have our own website. Customers do come to the website. Can we now start selling directly to the customers? We have our own logistics distribution as well. So can we start selling directly to the customer? Yes, the last mile delivery is what we'll have to figure out. But for a large company where growth is stagnant, can this be an opportunity? So business to consumer directly because of online retailing is something that's coming to my mind. All of the company's sales are to retailers that operate in Keeland only. Again, local company. The company's revenue split has been given to us. So our sales, majority of the sales, 26% of our sales were to a supermarket called Gerald's. Then there was Bango and Ford's Food, 14%. Then local convenience stores, before that was Pico, 18%. Then Ford Foods and Bango at 14%. Local convenience stores at 12%. Independent and Mango markets at 8%. So pretty much we have some major stakeholders, being Gerald's, Pico. All of these pretty much are our major stakeholders, because if let's say Mango doesn't order from us, it's a 8% revenue loss for us. So all of these are major stakeholders for us, and how we manage these stakeholders is going to be very, very, very important. So stakeholder management coming into the picture. Further analysis, if I do, again, this is the place discussion from our marketing mix that we are making, because we are selling B2B, how we sell. Now the website currently is an information portal, not a sales channel. This is an opportunity. The lack of B2C channels represents an opportunity gap. So future digital transformation, remember, IT is a representation on the board, which means there could be a new IT upheaval, complete change in how we sell our products, a new product sale situation coming up where we sell directly to the customer. So digital transformation could be on the horizon. So how we use data, digital costing, data mining, what do we do with all of that is going to be an important discussion, I feel, and exam situation as well. Gerald's, Pico, Ford's Food, Bango, and Mango markets are all large supermarket chains that operate nationally across Keeland. These 5 retailers are classed as large retailers by Halfpenny. They are large. And also they are a large portion of our sales. Lu Chen, large retail sales managers, and our team are responsible for managing this relationship. They are so important for us that we have one manager only associated and only dealing with them, only satisfying their requirements. They're that large and important for us. There are 4 local convenience store chains that operate stores throughout Keeland, either nationally or in a particular region. There are 75 independent grocery store retailers that either operate a single store or a small number of stores. Local convenience stores and independent grocery stores are classed as small retailers. So 4 local convenience stores are chains, 75 independent. We are selling to all of them, and they fall in the small retailers category. Now think of it. Large retailers are your key stakeholders. They have high interest, high power. Small stakeholders may have high interest, but they will have low power, but you still need to support them. We are not here to take advantage of anybody. We are a sustainable, ethically run company. In this case, what I'm thinking of is customer lifetime value and customer profitability analysis. Because in this case, your customer are these retailers. So how we hold on to them, how we increase our sales by better relationships with them is going to be an important discussion from our E1 syllabus. Also, large retailers may have longer payment terms. They also have a bargaining chip. So, your working capital is getting affected that way. Small retailers will pose a high credit risk for you because they might not be able to pay you the money. They are small. So large comes with its own problem. Small comes with its own working capital problem. And again, to handle all of these small retailers, we have Raj, who manages the relationship. Sales prices and credit terms vary by retailer and are negotiated by respective sales teams. So on average, sales price for large retailers are 20% lower because they are large. They are giving us a huge volume. Credit periods for large retailers, like I said, 40 to 60 days. More credit, is tied up. Your receivables are tied up. And small retailers are 20 to 40 days. It's lower, but there is high credit risk. So your working capital is coming into the picture over here. Be aware of this situation. Be aware that large retailers have prices which are 20% lower. Large retailers have a high credit, have a larger credit period. Just be aware of this because working capital questions around this are going to come up. Next, we have production. Now, all products are made by the company's production facility, which operates 360 days a year. 5 days it is off. 360 days the production facility is continuously producing. Production occurs in batches, so you make in batches. For 800 gram loaves, the batch size is 2500 loaves at one point. And 400 gram packets of rolls, the batch size is again 2500 packets. So if you make one batch of loaves, 2500 loaves will be made. If you make one batch of rolls, it will be 400 grams, but again 2500 packets will be made. So in this case, it is very straightforward that batch costing or standard costing is something that the company operates, yes, or should operate, which we will see deeper in the pre-scene as well. So standard costing methods should be very clear in your mind. Standard absorption costing should be very clear in your mind as a concept from your P1 syllabus. Now also over here, because we are speaking about production, somewhere in the production there is going to be a bottleneck. So baking capacity or packaging, can you make more than 2500 loaves in one batch? Not really. Or even if you can, it could be to 3000 tops. Somewhere that bottleneck is going to come up. So baking capacity, packaging capacity, they can tell you that packaging capacity is a bottleneck. How can we use throughput accounting to maximize throughput? You'll have to know the concept of what throughput accounting is, what maximizing throughput is. So standard costing, throughput accounting is what we discussed over here. Therefore, each batch of loaves requires twice as much bread dough as a batch of rolls, because that's 400 gram packet, this is 800 gram. So the bread dough recipe used for each type of loaf or roll is the same. For example, all white loaves and white rolls are made from the same recipe. It's just different packaging, different form of bread. So again, standardization through the recipes makes your production a little bit more flexible and costing a little bit more easier. The production process is summarized as below. First, there will be dry ingredients which are weighed, water is added, bread dough is mixed, then it's kneaded, then it's shaped to a loaf or a roll, then it's proved. So proving stage, where you let it sit, where the yeast actually works. Then baking, then cooling, then slicing and packaging. Now I want you to know this process, keep this diagram in your mind. Why? Because they may tell you that in the bread dough mixing department now it is done by a machine. So you should know, okay, this is the third step in my production and after this it will go to kneading. I want you to know this entire trajectory in your mind, what our production process is. Because anywhere in the pre-scene they can tell you that, okay, the cooling is now being done by a machine. For example, slicing is done by a machine, proving is done by a machine, doughs are shaped by a machine. You should know that, okay, this was the department, this is what is now happening, this is what they're speaking about. I don't want us to be blank in any situation. So within the production facility, there are 5 departments: mixing and kneading, shaping, baking, cooling, packaging. We already know that. These 9 processes are divided between these departments. Very simple. Each department looks at different processes. These production departments are supported by 4 service departments. These only look at production. But for mixing, you need raw materials, right? So the raw materials come from the raw material stores. Machine breaks down, machinery maintenance will come to the picture. There is a electricity issue, facilities maintenance will come to the situation. Employees need to eat, so a canteen comes into the situation. So there are 5 main production departments, and then there are service departments attached to these 5 production departments. Now, up until now, everything was standard in your business. There are going to be new loaves, new products, new innovations, new machineries, maybe new sales channels as well. So given the complexity and the processes which are going to be added, activity-based costing looks like the new costing system which would be relevant for our business, because very clearly there are activities. Mixing is an activity, baking is an activity, let's say cooling, slicing is an activity, packaging is an activity. So this will help us understand our costs better and help us save our costs. So the key takeaways that I'm taking from here is that the structured production process and department breakdown promote operational efficiency. Costing systems upheaval might be on the horizon, and financial implications include inventory valuation, the depreciation of your property, plant and equipment, which is bringing in your F1 syllabus. Next, we have details in relation to raw material stores and production departments. They're giving you details. So, of the support departments now. So, raw material stores is the first support department. The main dry ingredients used in Halfpenny's bread dough are flour, white, wholemeal, coarse grain, depending on what type of loaf or bread roll you are making. Second is fast action dried yeast. Then there is salt and seeds and grains. The latter for multi-seed and rustic products. These are your main dry ingredients. You should know this. What are your main dry ingredients? You should know that, okay, flour, fast action dried yeast, salt, seeds and grains. These are the major things that I buy in. If in a question they tell you that our original yeast supplier is not able to supply us yeast, we are looking at another supplier now. So you should know, okay, this is one of my major raw materials. Again, we are doing this pre-scene to help you understand the company. If a question comes up, you should directly know what they're speaking of. You'll only know this if you know your company. And on throughout the way, we are discussing crucial E1, P1, F1 topics. I hope you're making your list and continuing to make your list. Flour is stored in large silos, other dry ingredients in smaller silos, and yeast in large sealed bags. Okay. Ingredient deliveries occur daily, and each delivery is received into an empty silo to ensure that control is maintained over the provenance of the raw materials, which means they're preserved well. You know which raw material came in when, the date, all of that is properly controlled. Each silo is cleaned before every delivery. And raw material stores is located next door to the mixing and kneading department, because obviously from the store it's going to go to the mixing and kneading department directly. So daily ingredient delivery suggests there is going to be a close relationship between the suppliers and our procurement department, because they've clearly said that ingredient deliveries occur daily. If you don't have good relationship with your suppliers, this is not going to happen. So this brings in your topic of just in time. This brings in your topic of economic order, quantity, how much to order, when to order, what price to order. Brings in an important discussion over here. Now, because ingredient deliveries occur daily, it's going to be something that you manage well. Same way for the P1 syllabus, with multiple flour types and seeds, standard costs must be maintained. Material price variances, material usage variances are likely to occur because every day the prices might change, the prices might fluctuate. So your price variance, usage variance is bound to occur. Topics that we kept in mind over here, EOQ variances again. Now, mixing and kneading. Each ingredient silo is attached via a pipe to the large mixing and kneading machines located in the mixing and kneading department. So the silo is made in such a way that it's directly linked via pipe to the mixing and kneading machine. That's why it's next door. Each mixing and kneading machine is capable of mixing and kneading bread dough for a single batch of either loaves or rolls. You have to decide whether to make loaves, whether to make rolls. At the start of production, the dry ingredients required for a batch of production are weighed and fed into a bowl of the machine from the silos. This is a computer controlled process. These dry ingredients are mixed by machine and then the right amount of water is added to make it a dough. Once formed, the dough is kneaded by the machine. Earlier done by hand or by artisanal bakeries. For artisanal bakeries, still done by hand. But this kneading, because our quantities are large, is done by a machine. So mixing done by the machine, kneading done by the machine. The kneaded dough is rested for 15 minutes before it moves to the next production process. Now what we learn over here is the computer controlled weighing and feeding system shows automation. We are promoting automation, which is important, which is part of total quality management. Now over here, if we had activity based costing, then mixing and kneading could be considered as a cost pool, under which you can have different cost drivers such as machine runtime, energy use. You could have understood the costs better for the mixing and kneading department because very clearly activities are present. Next is shaping and proving. The rested dough is tipped out of the mixing and kneading machine by hand. So human coming into the picture now. Out of the machine comes tipped onto by hand onto the production line. Here, machine divides the dough into pieces suitable for a single loaf or bread roll. These pieces are shaped into balls of dough by machine and then rested again. Lots of automation present. The dough balls are then shaped by machine to fit either a loaf pan or a roll pan. The pans then move into a proving machine. Proving is the process of allowing the bread dough to rest in a temperature controlled environment. In this process, the yeast ferments the dough, which generates gases which allow the dough to increase in size. So in the shaping and proving department, again, there is a lot of automation. Some relations that we need to make: the manual tipping of dough into the production line introduces a human element. This reflects a hybrid work design. People, machines working together, part of total quality management. Manual dough handling may lead to labor variances because the manual element is coming into the picture. Labor variances, idle time variances, because everybody doesn't work in the same way. Energy consumption by proving machines can create overhead variances because they will consume energy. Proving is often a time-sensitive bottleneck in the bread production. So straightforward, I can see a bottleneck over here. If the proving capacity is limited, it can restrict throughput because only X number of bread rolls or bread loaves can be set in that temperature-controlled environment. More than that might not be possible for resting in one place, resting under one machine, resting in one refrigerated area, might not be possible. So proving is often a time sensitive bottleneck for your throughput discussion. Now over here, financial reporting includes working capital valuation, property, plant and equipment, and sustainability reporting for energy intensive processes. In this case, it is an energy intensive process. So your machine will be involved. Next we have baking. After proving, the pans of loaves or rolls move along the production line into an oven where they are cooked for 15 to 20 minutes. At the end of the baking process, the pans are removed from the oven and then baked items are removed from the pans by machines. Again machine. Then you let them cool. The baked loaves and sets of 6 rolls then move along the production line into a cooling machine. Again, the cooling machine will have a capacity. The baking machine will have a certain capacity. where they are allowed to cool. Once cooled, the loaves and rolls are transported to the packaging line. Transported, where loaves are sliced and all items are packaged. Date labels are attached and items sent to the distribution center for onward delivery. So they're transported to packaging line. After that, sent to the distribution center for onward delivery. So straightforward, what we are seeing over here is the process of manufacturing within the company. You should know because you are a finance officer. Second, anywhere in the exam or in my mock questions, they will mention one specific information. Like let's say in the cooling department this happened. But if you know what the cooling department is, if you know the restrictions, the activities within the cooling, needing, whatever department it is, you'll be able to pick up stuff in a better way. And obviously we related a lot to the E, P and F syllabus areas, so that added to our advantage over here. These were my main production discussions. Now, raw materials and suppliers. The main raw materials used in productions are, we already know our major ingredients. The first one is flour. There are three types of flour: white, wholemeal and coarse grain. Each type of flour is sourced from suppliers that specialize in milling wheat to produce this type of flour. There are 2 white and 2 wholemeal flour suppliers and 1 coarse grain whole wheat flour supplier. Now this might be needed because we are receiving deliveries every day. One supplier might not be able to, meet the demand. One supplier might not be able to support us with the demand. So we have 2 white flour suppliers, 2 wholemeal suppliers and 1 coarse grain whole wheat flour supplier. All flour suppliers are located within 50 kilometer radius. Payment terms for us is 20 to 30 days. Okay. Now the proximity of suppliers within the 50 kilometer radius demonstrates a strategic decision to minimize my logistic costs. And every day I can receive fresh deliveries. Halfpenny should ensure its flour suppliers follow sustainable farming practices, because remember, we want to be a socially responsible company. Our target is to become a good, solid company in the future as well. Very important, again coming into the picture, is your economic order quantity and material requirement planning, P1 syllabus. Having one supplier increases the risk of disruption, specifically for the coarse grain whole wheat flour. What if that supplier can't supply because of any issue? To avoid stockouts, it might be necessary to have a solid requirement planning system to help you forecast the demand, because if you can forecast better, you can order better. F1 coming into the picture over here is, by leveraging our full credit period of 30 days, we can improve our cash flows. We might not need short-term financing. So using your working capital cycle, using your working capital credit period, using your credit period as your working capital should be an important discussion over here. Next, yeast. Yeast is a living microorganism that is prevalent in the natural world and necessary for bread. Halfpenny uses fast action dried yeast, which is a granular powder made from dehydrated yeast microorganisms. Once hydrated during the production process, this dried yeast becomes active. Yeast is sourced again from a single supplier, which we have been in relationship for over 20 years. It is purchased in bulk to take advantage of bulk discounts. Payment term is 30 days. This is not an everyday delivery. This is purchased in bulk and kept in sealed bags. Grains and seeds used by Halfpenny include rye, oats, buckwheat and quinoa. The seeds include pumpkin, sunflower, flax and sesame seeds. These ingredients are sourced from again multiple suppliers. So over here we have a continuous discussion of single sourcing versus multiple sourcing. You should be aware of these discussions from your E1 syllabus. And payment terms again are 30 to 60 days. So different suppliers have different payment terms. We need to be aware of those payment terms so that we can manage our working capital in a better way. So always remember your major products, that your major products that you sell, your major ingredients that you are buying in, and the situation around that particular system, let's say. So if I look at new topics over here, economic order quantity, because bulk purchasing of yeast may align with EOQ principles. Balancing your ordering costs, balancing your holding costs is an important discussion. So EOQ, MRP, material requirement planning, in different situations I pointed these topics out to you so that you can make better sense of these topics. Now to distribution. So the company has its own distribution center which is located next door to the production facility. It's a different center, it's next door. Throughout the day, finished loaves and packets of rolls are transferred into the distribution center on pallets. Each type of loaf and packet of rolls has its own dedicated area in the center. From the date of production, halfpenny loaves and rolls have a use by date of up to 2 weeks. Within the distribution center, the aim is that the products are dispatched within 2 days of production to retailers for sale, so that there is always freshness in the product, and this requires a careful rotation of inventory in date order. Your first in, first out method, or the last in, first out method of inventory management will be important over here, because the business could employ any depending on the product. So the company has its own fleet of delivery vehicles and employs its own drivers. The vehicles in the fleet vary from small trucks to large heavy goods vehicles. Deliveries are scheduled to try to minimize the number of kilometers traveled, because more kilometers, more time, more petrol, more money also wasted. So the 5 large supermarket chains, some deliveries are made to their distribution depots, although the majority of deliveries are made direct to the store, so again freshness is retained. For local convenience store chains, deliveries are made to central depots, and for independent grocery stores, deliveries are made direct. So with perishable goods and a 2-week use by date, the FIFO inventory rotation is critical. Generally, the FIFO method will be used, but better to have the knowledge of the weighted average method or the LIFO method as well. The vehicle fleet is your property, plant and equipment. There will always be a discussion of selling, depreciation, revaluation of these vehicles, because that is the nature. Investment in new or greener vehicles affect your capital budgeting and leasing decisions that we have already spoken about earlier. So the key takeaway I am taking from here is that Halfpenny's integrated production and distribution operations optimize your logistics. Costing methods like ABC, route optimization, and KPI monitoring will help us better in our efficiency. Next, employees. We know we have 2,208 employees. They have been split like this. Production has 827, distribution has 1156, and head office has 225. So more people are needed to distribute my bread rather than produce my bread. And when I have so much automation, why are 827 people needed? So the labor intensive distribution process and the production process highlight the importance of workforce planning to ensure labor availability. Because if there is less labor, idle time, labor variances, it's going to be a major hit to the business. Labor costs are going to be a significant portion of my operating expenses. So to cut my expenses drastically, can it be a situation where we outsource my distribution? Yes, I know that we are investing in electric vehicles, but can we only continue to serve our 5 major supermarket partners? All the other things are outsourced to reduce my cost. That can be a situation. So, outsourcing coming into the picture over here as a discussion only because I see a large number dedicated to the distribution department. After that, there is an article. So what makes a winner? Industrial bread making now and in the future. The article is called Trade Bread and it's in the Keeland Bread, it's in the Trade magazine. So what makes a winner? By Lila Jones. I interviewed Trey Halfpenny after Halfpenny's white loaf was recently voted as #1 sliced loaf by customers. So there is an interview with Trey Halfpenny that has been showcased in this magazine, which has been put over here for you to make some analysis. Again, we learn that our white loaf is #1. The first question I asked was, what makes bread making such a distinct industry compared to others? So Trey said, well, whilst the industrial bread making industry has its root in traditional baking, there have been technological advances over the last 20 years, which means that it now holds a distinctive place among global manufacturing sectors because bread is so prevalent in everybody's life. I have always been interested in modernizing production and adhering to the quality control standards, which we can see in other industries, but there are several unique characteristics which set bread making apart. So Trey highlights a shift from traditional to industrial bread production, emphasizing technological innovations which we have showcased in our production process as well. It is important that we leverage lean principles, continuous improvement, because Trey is committed to that. So Trey, can you tell me a little about those characteristics? Well, the most prominent is that bread is perishable and has a relatively short shelf life. Therefore, we need to make sure our production and distribution are as fast as they can be. This is the same in industries such as dairy and other fresh produce, but not so much in electronics, for instance. Techniques such as Collywood bread process and the addition of preservatives are employed to extend the shelf life without compromising on quality. Of course, there are also food safety standards which govern bread making to ensure customer safety. This industry is going to be one where you need to quickly produce, then quickly distribute, and be very, very careful of safety standards because people are going to eat the bread. Also, nutritional labeling is important to make sure everybody knows what they're consuming. Next question was, and of course, there are production processes which have a particular priority at Halfpenny's. Trey says, yes, I must say developing our production process is a particular focus of mine. There are some unique processes like high-speed mixing in CBP, which distinguishes bread making from other food production methods. Industrial bread making integrates specialized technology to optimize mixing, kneading, baking, packaging, and automation plays a significant role, which is very clearly available and present in our earlier discussions. So the bread's short product life cycle drives JIT, just in time, which we don't 100% employ yet because yeast is bought in bulk. We are storing our products for up to 2 because they have a shelf life, and then we send it out to our customers. JIT means coming in, ingredients goes into production, directly went out to my customers. JIT is not 100% being applied. Techniques such as CBP, preservatives, and TQM help manage perishability and quality control. Going to be very important in this business, that is quality control. Next, And what areas can you see affecting the bread industry in the future? Trey says, well, we rely heavily on agricultural products, making bread production susceptible to issues like crop failures and climate change. If there's no wheat, how do you make the flour? How do you receive the flour? Sustainable sourcing of ingredients is becoming increasingly important. As we know from industry analysis and throughout the pre-scene, sustainability is key in this industry. So environmental impact is, of course, a universal concern, but the nature of these impacts varies. We have concentrated our efforts on minimizing food waste and optimizing resource use with initiatives aimed at reducing packaging waste as much as possible. We already know this from all of our pre-scene discussions. And finally, how do you feel the bread industry will innovate and adapt? Trey says we are continuously innovating with new recipes, flavors, and formulations. For instance, the rise of health-conscious consumers has led to innovations in whole grain, low carbohydrate, and organic breads. The need for innovation is also the case in other industries like electronic and automotive. But adapting to market trends is crucial for all. So what we learn from here is continuous innovation is going to be very important. Sustainability is going to be very important. Continuous innovation is going to be very important. And that brings me to the end of part 2. So I hope you have understood everything in part 1, industry analysis first, then part 1, then part 2, and you have created a solid list of topics of E1, P1 and F1 that I have discussed so far. Because after this, we'll go on to the financials, which is part 3. Be very comfortable, watch it again, part 1, part 2, again, be comfortable, then we'll start with part 3. Thank you.